Yo, 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 what's good, what's good, what's good? I'm back in the building. The one, the only, yours truly, Miss Queen, the dreamy butter lady, Shay, back at ya, dropping through, sliding through with a quick one, just with a quick one, just with a little breakdown for the little get down. Because it's been a minute, right? It's been a minute. And I had to slide back through to drop in just a little with the 2 cents, as you know I would do. So, guest, right? I'm going to use that as the topic for this one, right? I think I'm going to break it down appropriately with that. Let's start with that, right? Guess. I guess. The guest. The guest. To be a guest. Is it a guess? I guess to be a guest. Guess? You guess, I guess, we guess. Is it are we thinking, marinating? I guess. I see. Maybe another guess. I guess. Let's see. Can we go to the extreme to find another guess? Another pop of, pop out, pop through. Another guess, the guess, the guess. Does it ring true for you? Thank you. Just want to drop that one down real quick. That was a little freestyle on me. Just had to drop that one. Been holding that in for a minute, right? So, without further ado, guest, right? What is a guest? How does one become a guest? Is it something that, of course, I'm being funny with it, right? But a guest, right? A guest. When we have a guest, when we think of the word guest, this is something that's invited, right? This is something that we want, right? When you think of guest, is throwing it out there, right? Just throwing out the question. Can a guest be uninvited and still be invited as a guest? Does it still make sense to be called a guest? Just had to throw it out there, right? Just had to throw it out there. Just had to throw it out there. So, again, I'm clowning, right? I had to be a little funny. Had to throw in a little. For those that know, right? When you know, you know. You got to get a little of the goofiness when you're resonating and allowing the marination of yours truly, Lady Shay. You gotta get a little of the goofiness, right? So you gotta throw out a little couple of questions to let certain things marinate in the mind, right? To make sure that certain things fit, maybe certain things resonate, maybe not, right? It's dependent upon the individual, right? At least this is how I choose to view and see it, right? But let me go ahead and just break a few things down, right? Shout out to everyone, right? Shout out to all viewers, all listeners. Shout out to those that are in the chat, right? I'm not looking at the chat right now. I'm simply doing a freestyle, speaking from the mind, from the heart, and letting certain things flow where they need to go, right? But before I get on my rampage, I had to be respectful. Shout out to everyone who's listening, viewing, tuning in. You're appreciated. Gratitudes. Much respect. Okay, so as I was saying, right, guest. Can guests be invited or uninvited and still be considered a guest? Right? Why do I ask this question? Right? You know, when you know, when you know, when you know. If you don't know something, how do you know? How do you find to figure out something that you don't know unless you ask? To join in, to tap in, to get a little action in, sprinkling out and around to see what is really what, right? And when you're in life, when you want certain things done, don't you gotta ask the questions? I'm just saying, right? You just gotta ask the questions. So, I had to ask certain questions, right? Reason for my little dipping out, right? For those that would like to know, right? The 411. Where you been? Where you been? What happened? Right? What happened? Where did you go? Well, I had to ask some questions, right? And I had to ask an important person some questions. Me, right? Shout out to me. Shout out to MVP, right? The most important person. I had to ask a very important person some questions, right? And as one would know, as only you can know, when you're in life and you're living life in life, right? Shout out to life. Gotta love it, you gotta hate it, you gotta get a little bit of both in between. You gotta blend it, right? Life be life, don't it? And you gotta enjoy life to the utmost, to the fullest. Every moment, every day that we have, that we're here, that we're breathing, that we're allowed to do some of the simplest things like interaction, communication, getting to know something new. Right. Shout out to learning. Shout out to information. Shout out to wisdom. Shout out to knowledge, right? You gotta give certain just due respect when it's called for it, right? And again, when life be life, you gotta ask those questions, right? You gotta ask those important questions. See what fits and what doesn't fit. So, without throwing too much of my personal information out there, right? At least At least not yet, right? Trust you me. Enough information is out there about me. Trust you me. There's enough information out there on me. And yeah, as I always say, right? When the time comes, if anybody's gonna know anything about me, about the one that you hear, the voice of right now, yeah, you're gonna hear from me. I mean, let's break this down too. I gotta break that down. Speaking of that point, getting to know someone, right? How do we truly get to know someone? How do we truly get to know ourselves? There's a difference in a multitude of ways we can do this, right? And one of the simplest ways is possibly just asking questions, just gaining that jolt of, I wonder. Let me go see. I wonder. Let me go learn. I wonder. Let me go build. Right? And it just goes on and on and on and on. Hence life. Right? And life will be life. So, how do you get to know someone? Right? How do you truly, truly, truly get to know someone, right? One of the things for me personally, and maybe you too have experienced it, right? Yes. How do you get to know someone if you don't get to know that someone directly? Right? Am I making sense when I say that? Am I making sense when I say that? If you want to know someone, right, you get to know that someone directly. I mean, is that too hard to ask? Is that too far a stretch? Is that too much to ask for? Right? If you want to get to know me, let's say, for example, right, you get to know me. You talk to me, right? You ask me questions, right? You find if there is similarities or differences. You do certain things, you take certain measures, you go to certain lengths in order to get to know someone, right? But what I don't understand, hence again why I had to ask a couple of questions. I'm just throwing it out there, right? Gotta ask a couple of questions. Always gotta ask questions. Do not stop asking questions. Anyways, there has been trying to word this the right way. I'm trying to be good here still. I'm, I'm really trying to be good here. And yeah, I gotta burst myself for that one. So yeah, there has seemingly a trend, right? I'm calling it a trend. What the next cause, I don't know. But let it marinate and see if it resonates, and you never know, right? But there seems to be this trend that I happen to come across a multitude of times, and not just once, not just twice, but several times, right? And I just gotta say it like this. I repeat. I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to repeat this. You cannot get to learn About me, I'm using me as an example, right? The perfect person. You cannot get to learn me outside of anyone else other than me. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, right? Yet it happens. It has happened. And I'm pretty sure it's going to continue to happen. But my point to question is this, right? I'm just gonna try to help those out from maybe getting a headache. I'm just saying. I just had to say it like that, right? I'm just maybe just let me help you out for you don't have to get a headache no more, especially if you're going to be dealing with me. Yeah, you gotta ask the person that you want to get to know the questions you want to get to know. Going to outside sources, mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. That is, again, let me say this first. Everyone is free to do what they want to do, right? That's you. That's your choice. That's what you have as a right, right? But for every choice, there is a reaction. So just as long as that's clear, you are free to do what you want to do, right? It gets a little funny though. It gets a little funny when, how can I say it? It's like you throw a wrench into the whole game, right? I don't know, you throw water onto the fire. I don't know how else to say. You get a little bit of snow when there should be only sun, right? Expectations. Everybody has their own expectations, right? And in life, everybody is going to associate with one another. Everyone is going to still befriend another person. And depending, right, those bonds of friendships, of associations, or however you choose to word it, they're going to go stronger, right, over time. The more you get to learn and know a person, right? It only you would know, right, if you come across it. Again, I'm choosing my words here, y'all. This is where I'm pausing. Don't even mind that. I'm pausing for effect in word. But anyways, yeah, let that marinate. But expectations, right? As we grow, as we learn one another, as we begin to see and hear and explore one another in the multitudes of ways that we can and we are exploring each other, right? Does it come a time where one has to say, right, you're a good person, I'm a good person, but maybe at this point in time, we're no longer growing together, right? It's not a bad thing. It's just like a leaf on a tree. We're blowing in the wind, and in our direction is going in the opposite, right? But we still a part of the tree. And this is why it's okay. right? Being a part of the tree, you still connected, right? But each individual leaf still has their own uniqueness, their own individual mission, right? Their own individual purpose. And does that mean that one leaf above another is greater, is better than the one that's below them, which is more lesser because they're lower on the branch? No, they still have their own unique purpose of parts that they play, right? And as we gain that understanding, right, can't we simply just be, right? Can't we simply just do our purpose? Can't we simply just continue our mission, right? Hold, pause, let that marinate. Cause I got a couple of little wobblers for you, right? Let that marinate, let that sink in, right? Does that always work, right? Let me ask it again. Can two people simply go about their way, about their purpose, about their life with no static, with no chaos, with no interruption of each other, right? And still hold, right, that fundamental part that is key to the root of the friendship, right? Of the associationship, of the partner, of the schoolmate, of the neighbor, right? Can we do that? Have we done that? Right? I'm just throwing questions out there for cause and effect. Trust there's a method to the madness. Just let it marinate, right? So, again, to wrap it over, to bring it back to me, right? A few of those questions I had to ask, right? And not only did I have to ask, I had to truly let that marination sink in, right? Because sometimes, does everybody want to see you go up? I'm just, let's just be real with it, right? Does everybody want to see you at your best, at your highest? Whether or not you and them can go together. You got to throw that in there, right? You got to throw that in there. Does it matter whether you go with them or whether you don't? If somebody doesn't want to see you at your highest, mm, there's going to be some type of action to reaction in that point of purpose, right? And when you know, because you've experienced it, right? As I'm saying, because, it's just one of the greatest things in life. You can't talk or be about something you haven't experienced. And it's the truth. At least thus far of my journey in living. Nothing beats that, right? The actual proof you have that comes with that experience. So, how do you know? Which is a question. Which is a good question, right? In life, how do you know? How do you know who's for you? How do you know who's not for you? How are you able to identify, right? Because again, if you experienced it, if you experienced interacting with people, right? If you socialized, if you walked outside your house and you said hi to someone, right? What's your reaction? Do you get that hi back or do you not? Do you get no answer? Do you get a rejection? What do you receive, right? When you go out in life, in your everyday to day reality, what do you experience? What do you know, right? That is for you. And again, no matter what another can say, if you experienced it, that's what you've experienced, right? And take it or leave it. You can't take it away. Why? Because it was there. If not, how was it experienced, right? How was you able to remember, recall incidents, times, names, feelings, vibes, thoughts, if it was not an experience, right? Even you reading a book, even you watching a movie, walking down the street, it's all an experience, right? Everything's an experience. So, how do you know what you're experiencing around you is for you? And how do you know that you're choosing the right people to be around you? How do you know that certain, how can I put this? How do you know you're entrusting of someone or groups of people is really worth it? Is really worth the value of what you're receiving back, right? Again, personal experience. One of my little hiccups that I had to digest and get through, right? What you give is what you receive, and what you receive is what you get, right? And for the most part, I was holding on to that very model for self, right? I was holding that so strongly that, yeah, sometimes the natural vibration of it just flow to the next, right? And is it wrong? No. Did it work? No. Did I have control over it? Eh, I'm learning, right? You're learning. And when you learn to know, that is how you know, right? So, am I perfect with it? No, of course not. No one is, right? But one of the things that I'll say kept me in a loop of questions was that very thing, right? What I gave to myself, I gave to the next, right? And that's not a bad thing. Let me say that again. That's not a bad thing. Only if you do not give it to the people that are worth that energy, That's when it becomes a bad thing, right? Because as you know, Vegas is gonna take, right? Takers are gonna take. And do they stop taking? Mm-mm. No, of course not. So until you learn, right? If that's for you, until you learn what to give, when to give it, how much to give, that's going to be you that is draining the fountain, right? That is you that is draining the battery source. You, right? You draining your source of battery fluid of energy, right? The truth is the truth. And when you find that truth, you got to be able to accept that truth, right? So sometimes in life, even when we don't want to accept it, you got to ask the question: am I making it too easy? Am I giving it a certain leeway, right? So let that marinate, see if it resonates. And you never know where it might take it, right? Because sometimes you just got to say no more, right? And sometimes you gotta just say enough talking. And at certain times you gotta just allow the allowance, right? Like I say, you gotta allow the allowance. And what is the allowance sometimes? In this instance, and what I'm talking about, allowing you, right, to be you, to be true to you, to be real to you, to be honest to you, to be sincere to you, to be dedicated to you, to be loyal to you, to even be a little and sometimes too much and just going over and you're kind of tipping into crazy, right? Which again, that's okay if it's you, right? One of the things that for me was easy to notice, to see, to figure out, and to even appreciate. The more you are you, the more real you are with yourself and for yourself, you will find those that are like minded, right? You will find those that zing on your same frequency, right? You will find those that appreciate who you are, what you are, and how much of value is of worth. Because there is worth that is of value, right? And it's all the way to the smallest, tiniest detail of you and who you are to the biggest, right? And of course, this is why it's fundamental. Can't nobody love you better than you, right? Because there's too much of you to go around. There's just too much of you that is contained within that body of yours. Do you truly know you, right? Do you truly appreciate you for you, right? Do you give yourself a hug at night? Do you give yourself a hug in the morning? Do you give yourself a kiss? Because, hey, you deserve it. Or do you? I don't know. That's you, not me. I'm just saying. But I'm going to let that digress and slide on back to my point of message. Digging into you, to know you, to appreciate who you are, right? As much as you're going to find those that appreciate you, you're definitely going to find those who don't, right? And sometimes you can tweak it, right? You can make it work for you. And that's up to you to figure out. Because you're going to have both in life, right? You're going to have those that do like you, and you're going to have those that don't. But the thing is, the question is, the point is, what are you? You. No, you. No, you. Yes, you. What are you doing about it? Right? What is your action or reaction to that point of message? Or maybe even reality, right? Maybe you have everybody that likes you. Maybe you don't have people that dislike you. Maybe you have everybody that dislikes you and you don't have nobody that likes you. I don't know. Not my life. That's you, not me. But I'm saying the point is, with all that's going on, whether you got those that like you or don't, or you got a mixture, how are you within that centering point? How is the flame marinating? Right? Are you on full blast? Are you on low simmer? Or maybe you right there in the middle, kind of just like up and down, tops and turvy, just ready for some action, but not doing too much, right? I'm ready for it, but I ain't doing too much, right? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? What is your level of appreciating you? Okay, I had to take a little pause for. Whew, I had to take a little pause for my point so I could see how long I have been going. Right, I've been talking for a little minute because I didn't want this to be too long. Just wanted to slide through to throw out the message, right? And to bring me back on the scene, just pop in real quick, slide through, in and out. You know how I do. But I had to drop a little message. I had to bring a point of purpose. Otherwise, why am I over here talking for, right? What am I doing? What am I doing? Because anybody just come on, talk, say something, and there you go. But is there a point of purpose to the meaning of you coming on and me listening, right? If there ain't no point, and we just talking to talk, right? And I do that enough already. So I had to bring in a point of purpose, of measure, and to share a few of the questions that I have been asking myself, right? And where my mind's been at, right? Where's your mind at? Do you got your mind and your act right sitting right down next to you, like a book, so that you can open it up and read on a daily, each page, right? Let me stop clowning. Let me stop clowning. Let me stop clowning. Nope, nope, nope. I haven't been on here a minute and I'm already clowning. Came back clowning. Came back trying to clown. Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. Okay. So, again, taking that time to appreciate your value in life. Because sometimes it's not said enough, right? Even though it can be offensive, can be mean, can be rude. Do people care? Right? Do we have enough people out here? Do we have enough soldiers, right? Boots on the ground that care, right? And let me just get the basic care to self, let alone the next person, right? Because everybody can choose what they see when they see it, right? Yet when we're out here in life and we're really living life and we're really experiencing certain things, right? And going through certain measures and taking certain avenues, we got to take the time to really appreciate who we are. And that is to the fullest. I can't and I won't stop saying it. You got to look in the mirror, right? You got to really ask yourself. You got to really invest time into figuring out who you are. And yeah, you have those around you, such as family, right? Most importantly, since those are the most closely relative to you, right? As far as looks go, biologically, anyways, chemically. But, anyways, so yeah, when it comes down to it, a family member can only love you so much, right? A family member can only know you so much, right? And I don't care how long they've been around you. I don't. You could have been a cute little itty bitty little baby when they first met you, and they knew you all the way up until the time that you are of whatever age you are now. Don't matter. Why do I say that? Because they're not you. Let me say that again. They are not you, right? Like they said, the skin that you're in, right? They can't, you can't jump out and they can't jump in. So, with that logic, how do they know you more than you? You got to think about it. You got to think about it. Let it marinate. Let it marinate. That's some homework for you tonight if you're willing to dare to do it, right? I'm just saying, if someone can't jump out, I mean, if you, let me say that right. If you can't jump out and someone can't jump in to your skin, then how do they know you more than you, right? They know points of you, they know stages of you, they know certain thoughts that you have, they know certain ideas that you have, they know certain dreams that you have. Why? Because you'll share. Let me say that again. They know because you share. If they didn't share, they would only have certain information. Right? They would only know you so much. They would only be able to visually see you. But if you didn't speak, would they still indefinitely know you and who you are? Right? You didn't say nothing to them at all. Your mouth was 100% closed the whole time. Do they know you still? Right? To the utmost of certainty. Right? So, gotta let it marinate, right? Just gotta let it marinate, just gotta let it marinate, just gotta let it marinate. But again, the point of purpose is with love or with not, you gotta be true to you. Family, friends, or not, you have to be able to stay true to you, dedicated to you, figuring out you, right? And I don't know. This is just me. I I'm still figuring it out. I'm still figuring it out because I know there's some extra things back there, and it's just like I don't even want to right now. Not yet, and it's gonna come out, right? It's just eventually in time it will do come out, right? Hence, elevating, growing, learning, new knowledge, new wisdom, right? So don't allow anyone to prove something about you that you can't prove for yourself, right? That's just me. That's just me. That's just me speaking from me to you, for you, from me, right? If it does resonate, allow the allowance of what I'm saying to digest in, right? Only you can prove who you are, what you want, and what you stand for. Don't allow, or don't keep allowing, or don't even begin to allow someone else authority over that fact for you, your life, your mission, your purpose. And when you start to find it, when you start to see it, when you start to, allow the questions to not hold you in fear, right? Because sometimes it can get a little scary, right? Sometimes it can get you a little to where you don't even know whether you want to be angry or you want to cry or you want to be happy, right? Certain times you gotta control you. You gotta control your surroundings. And it's not always easy. Again, I'm gonna keep saying it. No one is perfect, right? Yet taking those steps, taking that time to sometimes, right? Even though you want to hear it, I'm gonna say it for you. You gotta ask the question: are you putting off certain things that you know you need to do, right? Are you allowing certain things that you know should not be allowed, right? Are you overlooking certain details that's right in front of your face and you just shrugging it off, right? Certain things we got to do, certain things we got to allow for ourselves, right? And it doesn't matter who, what, when, where, why anybody else has their thoughts or opinions on it or about it. Because I'm just going to say it. That's how I see it. That's some certain parts of the problem, right? Caring too much about what the next person thinks about you, your life, and how you're living is why certain things keep being the way they are. Why certain parts of reality is still, shall I say, fragmented, or should I say shattered, or should I say discombobulated, or should I say missing, or should I say unanswered? What about forgotten? Right? Certain parts of life that is in our life, in our reality, not the next person's, not our neighbors, not our families, not even our animals. You, right? What are you doing about you, your life, your point of purpose? Then I gotta say it. Then I gotta say it, right? Maybe you don't know. And we all been there, right? I know I have. Even when I thought I knew what my point and purpose was, there I had to go and shake my head and say, nope, that's not it. Mm-mm. Right? And certain times, as I say, the joy of life is the experience. Right? Going out and experiencing certain things. Right? Get to know certain things for yourself. You gotta put that on there, right? You gotta get to know for yourself. Hence, wrapping it back to what I was saying in the beginning, right? How do you get to know someone from another person? That doesn't make sense to me, right? If you want to get to know someone, you get to know that someone. You don't ask the friends, you don't ask the family, you don't ask the exes, you don't get into the unknown of the unknown territories. You go straight to the source, right? And again, it's up to them. They can either tell you the truth, they can withhold it, or they can lie to you, right? But you gave them that point of choice to decide on, right? And that is where we have key, my friends. We have to allow. You have to allow a person to be able to make a choice of a decision for themselves, right? But if you say allow someone to make a part of a choice of a decision based off of someone else's thought or opinion, are you giving that person fair justice to them, right? You want to get to know them. Let me just bring it back to me so it makes sense, right? Let me just bring it back to me so it makes sense. If you're trying to get to know me, right? Just for educational purposes, not that you're trying to. Had to throw that out there, disclaimer. But say you're trying to get to know me, right? And say you've seen or you've met me in a group of individuals, associates, business partners. Let's just go with that. Work colleagues, right? And for whatever reason you want to talk to me, you want to get to know me, right? But instead of talking to me, you go to our colleague David, right? You go to our colleague Michelle and you're asking the questions, trying to get the information to know who I am, what I like, what I don't like, what I want, what I don't want. And then you base your interaction. Finally, right? You start interacting with me, but you're basing your interactions to me based off of information that you previously gathered, which may or may not be true. You got to throw that out there. You got to keep that on the plate already because it's from a second source, it's from a third source, it's from a fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever, however number it is, right? You're not getting it from the first source. So, yeah, you're already getting secondhand information, which you got to throw out that truth. It's already a possibility that the information I'm getting is not all the way true. Already, off rip. You have to. Again, because how does someone other than you know you? Everybody lies, right? That's what they say. Everybody tells the truth. Again, that's what they say. Right? So if we know that everybody can either tell the truth or everybody can lie, why are we still going to second, third, fourth parties to get this information? Like, how much information or how much possibilities do we want before we say, you know what, I want some accuracy. I want something that's more fact. You know what? I just want to go to the straight truth. I just want to get nothing but the truth and all of the truth. And even if, right, this is the good part, if it's not all the truth, I got it directly from the person I wanted it from. And now I can hold that person accountable of not telling me the truth. Right? Not third, not the fourth person there that we got the information from. No, we can hold accountable that direct source. Right? Because we directly ask them those questions. Right. But then I don't know, that's just me. Maybe that's not what is common sense. I don't know. Oh dang, I had that on the mute the whole time. Okay, so when I do that, that means that I need to go. Because I am not gonna be able to repeat all that I had just said. I'm just it's not going to happen. So to round it up, to bring it back to the sum of what I am trying to say, my point of purpose, right? Keep learning you, keep loving you, keep appreciating you, no matter what and how hard it gets, and it can get hard, right? And it's not to say to suck it up. It's not to say that what you're going through is not going to be worth it. It can be, right? But it's up to you to make sure that it is worth it. What you experience, what you learn, what you know, what you grow through, it's always up to you to make sure that it's fundamental for the benefits, to allow some allowances, to keep the enrichment of peace, life, and of course, love, right? Gotta have that in life. But of course, you gotta have the blend, right? You gotta have the bads, you gotta have the uglies, and you gotta have the chaotic. So, that being said, make sure always and always you're finding a way to appreciate you in a different light, in a different layer, in a different level. And no matter what, who likes it or who doesn't like it, you keep standing firm in your truth. And before you know it, you will not have a problem riding to rise to the occasion to say, bump that. If you can't respect, you got to go. And you're going to get that sweeping And once that motion starts to going, it's going to be a blast. And you're going to have so much fun. And you're not going to be able to contain how much joy you feel as the weight of burdens gets lifted. Right? Because when you appreciate you, you can appreciate what's for you. And what's not for you, you will appreciate letting go. And with that, I'm out. Oh, no, let me not do that. I'm being naughty. I was gonna say before I go, I'm gonna be out, but let me say shout out to the chat. I know there was some chat in going on, but I did not even look at it because I was just going ahead spilling. So shout out to everybody that came through. Don't think I know a few of y'all, but yes, definitely shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. Oh, what's up, Ralph? Seen ya. I see ya. I see ya coming through. Definitely gratitudes for you coming through. It was a blast. Thank you. See, if I didn't look in the chat, I would have forgot. See how sometimes I can be. Shout out to you though. Definitely glad that you came through, popped up on the chat. It was definitely a great one. Catching the knowledge uprising. And noble, right? Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. See y'all doing it. See y'all still got your boots on the ground, putting it on these people, right? Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all, right? Make sure you keep those toes firmly on the ground, right? And keep appreciating life and what it's worth and what it brings to you and for you, right? Clips, shout out Lisbeth, Home Around the World, Glows Avenue. Don't know y'all. Never seen y'all. Monty. Shout out to y'all. Appreciate y'all for sliding through, for however long that you came through. Glad you did. Hope you like, shared, or even subscribe if you resonated with the message. But until then, I'm a hush and shut my mouth. And you already know. Peace. Till the next time. Check ya.